Up here. And sitting there. Okay. And we're waiting for the blue lights to turn green. And we got one streaming, two, three, and come on, YouTube, you can do it. Okay, we're ready. Jordan, you want to count us back 5 from 10 and we will play the opening? You ready?
All right, yeah, that works for me.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Everybody, 10,
Eight, nine,
9,
9, 8,
8, 7,
seven,
6,
6,
5. It's going to be a
5,
long night. 4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1,
1.
and here we go. Come on, let's dance. It's a party. Jason.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, aka Radio Red, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's aka Radio Red.
Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me so beautifully. Radio Red in the house. It is Monday. Where in the world else would I be? I'm here with three very interesting creatives. Interesting story about how I met all of them, but I will tell you all later. And I haven't asked my guests to do our little opening here before I introduce you, but I'd like you all to make the shape of the letter L with either hand. I don't care what direction it's going in. And on the count of three, I want you to join me in saying hello, LLL, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Hello,
Hello,
L,
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 L.
L.
Jordan, they're in second place for the most in sync. Yeah, we didn't rehearse it, but thank you very much. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, LEGZ, a good old dear friend I met in New York many years ago at a dance class. I wasn't instructing, I was taking, and we've stayed friends. And at 6:02 or 3 p.m. Eastern today, after the show, she will email me and she'll tell me what Lee said on the show. A little tiny book report, Lee, and she'll tell me what Dianne said and she'll tell me what Jason said. And I wanted to always do a shout out to her and tell her she's always welcome and I always appreciate her. She's been listening for years and she's our most loyal listener. LLL, lovely, lanky, Laura Legs, most loyal listener. There you go. So now I would like to welcome all of you. This is where I talk to creatives. And in case people are wondering, creatives isn't can you draw and can you dance and can you paint? Creativity is what we do in my life, in my book. I haven't written the book yet. I'm still working on it. But creativity is what we do every day. It's how we speak, how we dress, how we brand ourselves. We all have a brand, whether you're in a business or not. How do people see us, perceive us? Are we kind? Do we laugh? Do we smile? Did we build a house? How do we decorate our home? What do we eat? What do we wear? What kind of music do we listen to? That's all part of how we create our lives. And I have three very interesting guests who have created really, really interesting lives. And that's why they're here today. So I'm going to start with my opening, my special opening, my gift to my guests. And when I call your name, please just wave. So everybody is absolutely positively sure that they see you and they know you. So here we go. Welcome to Cool Conversations with Creatives, where bold voices ignite with creative fire and impressive insight. AKA Radio Red and her Scarlett mic hosts the show. She adds the spark to our live streaming glow. We don't just talk, we dazzle, we shine, no pressure, guests, with purpose and passion in rhythm and rhyme. We'll explore today the geographies of creativity because of all of your travels bold as today's guest creative stories unfold. Here we go. Jason Gibler is with us. Born in the wilds where the tall forests sigh, Jason found strength where the wounded hearts cry. Through jaguar dreams and the elders' deep song, he learned how to deal and heal what's been broken so long. Echo's spiritual psychology lights his way, melding mind, earth, and spirit today. With shamanic wisdom and tools from the mind, Jason helps us reclaim the soul we might find. Jason, did you like that?
I love that. That's so awesome.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'll tell Sylvie. Dianne Olvera is with us. Taught to be silent, to listen, not speak. Dianne found courage. She grew strong from the meek. Across lands and cultures, through sorrow and cheer, she built a new voice for connections sincere. From grief rose her message of power and grace, bridging the gaps with a smile on her face. Through love, loss, and learning, she fashioned her art, teaching the world that true words can heal the heart. Dianne,
That was so sweet. Thank you.
welcome.
I love it. Had not
I'm
expected that. No.
Nobody ever expects these. It's magic. And Lee Sweeney is with us. From fields of football to stars in the sky, Lee charted his course where the satellites fly. A master of math with curiosity in his gaze, he helped infrared systems sharpen their rays. Working decades on missions and secrets untold, Lee's brilliance in orbit was quiet yet bold. Now with Dr. Dianne, his heart has found new flight. Two souls united, shining so bright. Lee?
Well, thank you very much. It's worth keeping.
I can send you the clip. I don't send the text. I said, because it's my delivery. So let me finish. Through forests, through heartstrings, through stars in the skies, today's cool creatives will open our eyes. With courage, with wisdom, with journeys so vast, their tales light the spark of our dreams that will last. So gather round where the cool vibes sway, everybody sway, as we dive deep into creativity today. akaRadioRed's Roundtable lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So what'd you all think?
That was beautiful. That was awesome.
I'm glad. Jason,
I
did you
liked
like?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it. I think it was really cool. I love the swaying too. I think that's a great way to be creative, just to move your body.
You got to keep dancing, got to keep moving. My partner in crime is named Sylvie. She's French. She's my virtual assistant, and I'll tell you after the show where she lives. But we have a lovely, lovely, supportive relationship. And when I send her something, she'll say, "You're so cool and so jazzy. Do you want a nightclub version? Do you want a quieter version? Do you want a jazzy version?" I have to stop after a while. It's like, okay, I've just proofread and edited 5 versions. But she's very, very generous and gracious. So what I'd like to do now is the order is Lee. I'm sorry, the order is Jason and Dianne and Lee. So I'd like to ask each of you, I'm going to put you on full screen speaker view. Jason, did I miss anything? No kidding, Red. You missed a little bit in your bio because it was just 8 lines, but I know I tried to tell the bigger story. Could you please fill us in a little bit about what you do and who you are? And officially, welcome, Jason. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Red. It's so great to be here with you. And I just love speaking with everybody about creativity. It's so fun because I think life really is creativity. I'm a big student of everything, kind of a student of psychology, neuroscience, spirituality, life, you name it. And one thing that I found with that is as I learn things, they also get transformed within me and come out in new creative ways. So it's kind of fun. And I create programs to help people with things like, challenges with relationships or personal issues or, trying to find a different future for themselves. But all of it's creative. So it's pretty fun to do that.
Tell me a little bit about that jaguar who's staring at us from your book in the back, The Way of the Jaguar. What's that all about, Jason?
Well, The Way of the Jaguar is a narrative tale that teaches all about different spiritual wisdom traditions from around the world. So what I decided to do with this is try to be really creative and bring in all kinds of great wisdom from all across the globe through a shamanic journey where my main character meets all these different power animals representing different faith systems, like elephants representing Buddhism, Hinduism, and an anaconda representing South American wisdom, and there's a jaguar representing not only shamanic wisdom but also Christian wisdom, and so all this kind of moves together. It's my way of showing that deep wisdom crosses many barriers, and the barriers we put up are just our own. And so I like to see that there are really no barriers. And when we can do that, it's pretty fun. So that's why I created this story.
Lovely. Would you send me, is there an ebook? Can you send me a copy, please?
Well, yes. So the preview version is coming out on May 22nd. So it's not quite out yet, but
I want to
I'm
go on
excited
that
'cause
list.
it's-
I want to go on that list. Please. I'm
Thank you.
very intrigued. And I like the way you said the barriers are created by us.
Yeah.
How true. How
Yeah.
true all the time, every day,
Mhm.
every minute. We put them up, we create them, and then we have to figure out how to get around them, over them. Ain't no mountain high enough, right? We'll go to
That's
that
right.
another time. Thank you, Jason. Dianne, I met you at the summit. I was so taken with you, and you mentioned a gentleman named Lee who wasn't at this publicity summit. And I said, could you invite him to come on the show with you? Because he's integral to your life. He's part of why you wrote the book. We'll talk about that in a second. And I said, get Lee for me. And you said, I'll do my best. Lee, I'm making this part up. She said, of course, he'll come on the show. So, Diane, I'm putting you on full screen speaker view. Would you please tell your story a little bit more for us? I know I just covered the little tiny bit. Go ahead, Diane, and welcome.
Well, when I was young, my parents wouldn't let us speak. My mother used to, whenever I would ask a question and she didn't like it, she would scrape soap behind my front teeth to make sure that I would learn a lesson not to talk. And if that didn't work, then I would get hit with the wooden spoon or the belt or whatever thing that was near. So when I left home, I really didn't have the ability to speak with people. So I became a stewardess. uh, yeah, knocked a man's tooth out with my hip, and ran to the cockpit. Told the pilot he couldn't land the plane because I knocked a guy's tooth out, and learned that impulsive speech is not the thing you should be using. So then I married an Argentine, went to Argentina, and once we separated and divorced, I married an American who was a diplomat. And then I had to learn how to be a diplomat wife in Argentina and Mexico, and speak with diverse individuals. And I was so intrigued with the language of power that when we got back to the States, I spent 12 years in graduate school getting doctorates in bilingual special education because I wanted to see how the brain worked and cultural differences. And then opened up a private practice and continued graduate teaching, did some brain research, and all of those wonderful experiences, I finally wrote in my book, The Power of Connection, Understanding Individual Differences to Uplift and Empower. So I don't believe that anyone, be it from the most disabled to the most intelligent, have any reason why we cannot empower them. And it works. Very simple ideas and a very simple book, but very powerful in the end. And
Thank
then I
you.
met Lee.
And then you met Lee. Yeah, let's go ahead. Couple of sentences here. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, my husband passed away in 2020, and we both live in an over 55 community. And so I went to a grief meeting, and I met this wonderful man who had also had some diplomatic work in the past, and his wife died 2 months after my husband. Yes, and so we had many things in common. And now it's been 5 years and we live together. And I think we both feel that we use all these strategies. And both of us have said we've never lived a more relaxed, happy life just by empowering each other every day. What do you think, Lee?
That's absolutely lovely. Lee, I'll get to you in a second. I have to tell you a quick story. There's a famous songwriter whose name you won't recognize who wrote things like Good Morning, Heartache and Quando, Quando, Quando. Irvin Drake. He's no longer alive, and he was a friend of mine in Great Neck, Long Island. I was a co-editor of a newspaper, and they said, call this man. He wants more publicity, and I did a profile on him. And I met his wife. What's interesting is that Edith's husband and Irvin's wife died a few months apart, but Diane, they had known each other in high school and college. She was at Barnard, he was at Columbia or somewhere, and he saw her, this tall redhead dancer, and he started dating her. And it didn't work out, and they went on, married other people. Well, one day her phone rings, and his phone rings, and a voice says, "Hi, Irv, do you remember me?" This is, yes. And yes, and there you go. And they married a couple months later. And they had the obits were in the New York Times of their spouses very close together. And it was just Edith and Irv. And they were quite an interesting couple. And I became friends of theirs for many, many years. She passed away very quickly after he did, by the way. And they were married for 20 or 30 years as the second. But I thought that reminded me of what you said just a little bit. So thank you very much. Lovely to meet you. Lovely. So many words of wisdom. Lee Sweeney, you're on deck now. Let's hear. I want to hear your independent story before you met Dr. Dianne, and then a little bit about what was that spark when you met her. Go ahead, Lee. Welcome.
Okay, well, I grew up in Santa Monica, California. Now, that was where I went through high school. And I played baseball and football in high school, but I applied to Pomona College. It was a small independent 1,000 student college about 50 miles from where I lived. And unfortunately, I couldn't afford it. And then they called back and said, oh, they offered this wonderful scholarship to somebody who didn't accept it. Would you accept it? So it was 4 years, all tuition paid. And I went there. That was very nice. So after I got out of college, I forgot, playing baseball, I met a man named John, and he was the first baseman. I was on first base. They were changing pitches, and we got into a discussion, which was very interesting because after going to graduate school, I got a job at the Aerospace Corporation. Who should work on the second floor of the building I'm in but John? And the way we met there was my wife was making doll clothes for the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. His wife was doing the same thing. And so I got this call from John saying, I have to come down and give you some material for your wife to make doll clothes from my wife. So small world, huh? Anyway, and then on top of that, John introduced me to an Air Force project just starting. It was a surveillance system, space-based infrared surveillance, part of an early warning network to prevent World War III. So there, again, I depended on John to get me into that field, which I never heard of. I was a system engineer instead of just a degree in mathematics. And it was starting from the ground floor. They wanted it in a hurry. So what happens, we were supposed to build the system and then demonstrate it and then have it turned on. Well, they got anxious and said, we can't take the time to demonstrate. You're going to build a ground station in Australia, put the satellite over the Indian Ocean and stare at all of China and the Soviet Union as fast as possible.
Lee, just wait for all of us to go. What? Jason, let's go. What?
What?
Dianne, you know the story. What? Okay, Lee, you can continue now. You never step on those lines. Go ahead. You're up.
Yeah, well, anyway, I was there for 18 months, and during the time, in a hurry, they put it in the wrong orbit. It was supposed to be stationary over the Indian Ocean, and instead it was drifting. So after they put it in orbit, when I showed up at the site, they ran to the door and got me. You got to help us. You got to help us. We can't find the satellite. So believe it or not, being creative, I said, let's go to the commander's office. I need his electric cord from his lamp and the globe on his desk. Now you call Sunnyvale. They're the ones operating the satellite. I want to know which ground station last saw it and what the azimuth and elevation angle were on their antenna. So the guy runs out, comes back later, he says, it was Guam, and he gives me two numbers. So I take I knew about orbits, so I had 6.6 Earth radii is where it should be up on the equator. So I actually measured out 5.6 because I wanted to put it on the Earth on the equator and look from Guam at what the azimuth and elevation angle they gave me. And then in my head, figure out I'm in South Australia, what's the azimuth and elevation angle? So I did it in my head and I told the major, I said, go tell him to point the antenna there and start searching. He did, and we found it. Now, how's that for weird? Anyway.
That's super creative. That's not weird at all. That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant, Lee. All right, tell me a little bit about your...
I was pleased I worked. Anyway, when I came back home, I moved to Colorado, of all places, where I live now. And I had gotten divorced from my wife with two boys, and I met another lady, got married, and she was from Germany, spent time in Europe. And anyway, we moved to where we live now, where I live now. And she fell and broke her hip, and she was over 80 years old. You'll find out they don't last very long after that. So she passed away. And that's when I met Dianne at a grief meeting where she had lost her husband 2 months earlier. And we had this thing in common. In the early 70s, I was working south of the equator in Australia, and she was working south of the equator in Argentina at the embassy. So anyway, that's how we met. And we've been getting along famously ever since.
I love a good love story. Don't you, Jason?
I do. I think it's amazing.
Love a good love story. That's the way Dianne mentioned it at the summit. And by the way, anybody listening, I get exactly 2 minutes on the clock, right, Dianne? Right, Jason? To meet these people, to hear their pitch, to ask them to stop, to ask them, quick, give me your email, give me your phone number. Are you available April 28th? Yes or no? Quick. Okay. And put them in and get them into my calendar. It's that fast. And they give me a couple extra seconds past. And in that time, Dianne managed to squeeze in the story about Lee. And I said, who is he? I said, is your husband? Is your partner? I don't know. I made a couple of mistakes in there. And she said, no, he's my partner. He lives with me. I'll get him for you. And that was it. So Dianne, very well done, my dear. Very, very well done introducing the concept of Lee into that 2 tiny minutes we had to meet. So I'm very glad. I am so impressed with all of you. And because of all of your travels, you all know, I named this episode The Geographies of Creativity. I think I've done one. I have to come up with a new name every week, and I do 48 of these shows a year, so I can imagine my vocabulary. But I came up with, I think, The Travels of Creativity a long time ago, and I said, got to do something a little more interesting than that. So it's geographies, and that's why. We're not doing a map lesson here, but I wanted you to know I try to honor all of you with the title of the episode. So now we've got your wonderful bios. I'm going to go to the quote section of the show, and I've asked each of you to send me a quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric, and you're going to relate it in your own words, a little bit to your own creativity. So here we go. I have done a little research, and I'll read a little bit. I could spend the whole show just reading all my research, but I love looking up quotes. There we go. So Jason has sent a quote from, oh my goodness gracious, it's from The Matrix, one of the favorite movies of all of my guests, Jason. People quoted on my technology show and here, 1999 sci-fi action film. And the scene is the Spoon Boy, who is played by Rowan Witt, who was a young boy at the time, talking to Neo, played by Keanu Reeves. And the Spoon Boy is a young prophet who has learned how to manipulate the world of the Matrix. Seemingly wise beyond his years, he teaches Neo how to develop the powers and provides him with wisdom and motivation across the films and the graphic novels. So here is the scene I've got, Jason. Excuse me. Here we go. So the boy says, do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. And Neo responds, what truth? Boy, there is no spoon. Neo, there is no spoon? Boy, then you'll see that is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
Yes.
Okay, Jason, what if I've had other guests years ago quote this, and I'm always intrigued. I have not seen the movie. It's not my thing, but I'm going to put you on speaker view again. Jason, tell us a little bit what this has to do with your creativity and why you picked the quote. Go ahead.
Well, I love the quote, love the movie. I've seen it so many times, and I think it's a great metaphor for the way that we all live and, the illusion of our own lives. We get stopped by so many things. We get stopped by fear. We get stopped by what other people have told us that we can do, or the things that we don't think we can do. I remember when I was in grad school, I got an assignment to do a painting, and I'd never painted anything before. And I was supposed to create a mandala, and I started doing it out of watercolors. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, this is so fun and amazing. I can actually do this. I can put colors together and create all this stuff. But my limitation before that was I never thought I could draw or do anything. Once I let go of the limitation, the illusion, I was able just to do it. So I think that creativity flows through us, but the problem is we see a reality that has been told to us, like in the Matrix. There's this idea that this is the reality, but actually reality is pretty fluid, and there's a lot of creativity within us that we're not actually aware of because we stop ourselves. I can't do that. Oh, I could never write a book. Oh, I could never sing a song. I could never, write a song or a play or anything. But once we just start and we just start going and we have that courage to say, maybe I could, maybe I can, or even a better question is, how can I? And then we start moving forward.
I love that. How can I? And another thing I don't think you mentioned is when other people tell us we can't. When other
Yeah.
people say you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not smart enough, you're
Yeah.
not clever enough, you're not creative enough. Have you
Yes.
ever done it? I'm not going to work with you. I'm not going to fund you. I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to compliment you because you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the not enoughness is a problem, and I think that people are always clamoring to be more and be higher and better than others, and so that's why they drag others down because they don't want someone to be more than them, and so it's a real sad thing that humans do to one another, and by that we squelch the light within us, and so I'm hoping that people will stop doing that and just, recognize that everybody has beautiful creative talent within them and let it shine forth however it wants to come out.
Very well put. I have over 300 paintings here. and I
Oh,
never
amazing.
painted in my life. And one day, Michael's had a sale on a painting set. I was living in where was I living in Durham, North Carolina, and I went. It was something like $60. It looked like a model's portfolio, Diane. You know, the kind you carry with big flat thing. And I put it in the closet for 2 months. I said, "What in the hell did I do with that?" $60. Well, that's gone. And then one day I took it out and I looked, it had crayons and it had pencils and it had charcoals and it had watercolors and it had drawing paper and it had books on different types of things. And I said, "Oh, that's nice." I put it back again. And then a couple weeks later, I took it out and I said, "Well, let me just get some of my paper from my printer. I'm a former computer analyst, program analyst. Let me get some paper. I don't know what that has to do with that. Paper from the printer." And I took out the watercolors. I did a little. So I said, "Oh, that's nice." It kind of made the paper crinkly because watercolors are wet. What am I doing that for? So I took out the good paper from the kit. And then before you know it, I had a big kitchen with a huge counter in the middle, and it was right across from the kitchen sink. So I was setting up paper, newspaper, whatever protected. I was painting 3 to 5 paintings every weekend, and I was buying canvases by the carload from Michael's. I kid you not. And when I moved here to Tennessee, I had a 53-foot truck, including my mother's baby grand piano and all the things I should have gotten rid of years ago, but memories and all that. And there were boxes and boxes of the canvases. Jason, I have them in the garage.
Wow.
I have them. This office has about 25. I've got them in the hallway. I've got them under my TV set. TV set, who says that? Everywhere. So, yes, and I can't draw a straight line, but I
That's
can
amazing.
paint, do collage, make my own collage paper. I'll tell you after the show. We'll stay and talk a little bit. Watercolors and paint pour acrylics and collages and all kinds of things. And it just brings me joy. I haven't sold any. I don't need to.
Yeah,
It's my joy, Jason. It's my joy. It's for me.
absolutely.
And it's fine. Okay. And I'm putting more on Instagram recently, and you might be able to buy them there. Okay. So let's go to Diane. Your quote is from, oh, this is a classic. My goodness gracious. Gone with the Wind, 1939, epic historical romance film. And this is a quote, one of the most iconic movie lines of all time, according to AFI, the American Film Institute, Gone with the Wind. And here it is. Scarlett, played by the beautiful Vivian Lee, says, Rhett, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do? And Rhett Butler, played by the wonderful Clark Gable, says, "Frankly, my dear, I don't." I'd love to hear Lee read this line. "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." Okay, why'd you pick this one, Diane? Interesting. Go ahead.
It's the basis of everything that I have learned in all of these 40 years. Self-awareness. When you have self-awareness, you start to receive self-esteem because you know who you are. When you have self-esteem, you're self-confident and self-efficient. And then you start using that with other people. And when you use it with other people, they start seeing you as a leader. The sad thing is, as I'm doing these podcasts and talking to other people, our college students, and I've proven this myself, graduate students don't, and I said to everyone in my law class, I said, "Would you please don't tell me your name or where you're from. Would you just give me one thing about who you are?" Not one person could raise their hand.
Mm,
Businesses are saying the same thing, that these people are graduating from college and they are not self-aware.
mm,
So why? Because parents, teachers are all taking away the power of these people. You take away people's power when you keep telling them what to do. So I start all the way back at 2 years old. And autism, half of my students that were autistic, they're leaders of their companies now. They're married, they have kids. I get really frustrated when people are not permitted to just see who they really are and find the beauty within them. So when we give the person the opportunity or say to them, "That was a beautiful poem you just wrote." Now you have something of self-esteem because you have a self-awareness of what you're good at. And you keep doing this throughout your life, you finally end up with the end result is open conversation. And that's something I learned in Argentina, that when we permit ourselves to be comfortable in self, you can tell me anything, good or bad, about me. And
mm.
I'll feel that you love me because I know who you are. and you're not talking behind my back, you're saying it to my face. And that's why I think Lee and I get along so well. We have no qualms of telling each other exactly what we think and what we feel. And it's more comforting that way than to wonder, what does he think about that?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Did you send me your book yet, Diane? I'd love to see it.
Just like Jason.
Coming soon to a post office near you.
Problem with your yeah.
When
Yes,
you're ready, I'd love to see it.
Finishing the hopefully the cover right now. So I was told that hopefully by the end of this week, probably by the end of the month.
That's fine. I'd love to
I will
receive a
send
copy.
it to you. Yes, yes. I
Thank
would
you.
love it.
I want to see it. I like what I'm hearing from all of you. Thank you so much. And Lee Sweeney has picked another classic quote. We got a lot of classics here today. Another classic quote, Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by Alec Guinness, telling Luke Skywalker. And the movie it was originally called Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And that was what it was retitled as, 1977 American another epic space opera film written and directed by who else? George Lucas, the first film released in the Star Wars franchise in the fourth chronological chapter of the Skywalker saga. And this is just, everybody knows this one. The Force will be with you always. Okay, Lee, why'd you pick this one? What does this have to do with you?
Well, it turns out I've always been interested in looking into what consciousness is. And you said something about Jason inventing universes, and believe it or not, I'll connect those two. And so last year I took a course at Maharishi International University, and the name of the course and the name of the class was Consciousness is All There Is. So then I've been reading out and trying to figure out what that means. And then you say the Force. All right, what does Star Wars say the Force is? And I'm going to read this so I don't mess it up. It says the Force is a mystical energy from all living things that connects the entire universe. So when you listen to that, you say, well, okay, it's energy. Now, I just learned about consciousness, and I have yet another book I'm reading, which talks about consciousness, where they mention that it's energy. I'm starting to put all these things together. So I said, well, in the writers of Star Wars, did they actually have this concept that there's more to it than when they said the Force? And putting all these ideas together, I'll summarize it for you. It says that they said everything is connected in the universe. It didn't say everything in the universe was alive, but it did say they're connected. And then you look at consciousness and you say, if everything there is and all there is consciousness, there again, I saw this connection. I said, is that Force what they mean by they say consciousness? And to me, it made sense. I don't know if it makes sense to y'all. But anyway, that's the thing I'm on right now is this book I'm reading about where they said energy and consciousness are the same thing. It's pretty far out. It's where the name is Koldos, and that's an area in our universe that intersects with two other universes. And the people in the book went there, and they're trying to just say where they come from, what are they doing, why are they there, and all this. I haven't finished the book yet, but that sort of solidified there's more to it than I had originally thought when you talk about consciousness. Does that make sense?
Sorta, kinda. It's
Dianne is not sure what I'm talking about either yet.
I bet your dinner time conversations are very interesting. I'm sorry, I had to say that. No disrespect intended, but that's interesting. I wish people were, yes, I have trouble going to cocktail parties and places around here because.
Well, let me say one more thing then. That another thing I've come across is Star Wars future is what we're headed for. And so again, in my reading, they say by the end of 2026, we'll be there. So maybe you should have us on between now and then so I can keep you up to date so to find out if you're at Star Wars future.
It would be my pleasure. It would. What year did you say, Lee? What year?
Yeah, the end of next year.
Oh, okay. Well, you can all
25 now.
you can all come back. And one of the things I noticed when you said y'all, you're in Colorado. Why are you using? I learned to say y'all when I moved to Tennessee and North Carolina. I'm a New Yorker, and I learned to say y'all. So you said y'all.
I guess I can't identify exactly where that came from.
Maybe you wanted me to feel comfortable. That's all. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I told you all I'm the green room warm-up comedian and it extends to the show. Thank you all for the quotes. Very, very interesting. I want to move on to your creativity statements, and I'm going to pick one from each of you. You don't have to go find it. I'll read it for you. I'd like you to just take a couple minutes to unpack it. I'll start with you, Jason. And then if anybody else, if Lee or Diane have anything to say, comment back to Jason. Here's the deal. I think you all have 10 fingers. Oh, there's the sun. It's coming in already. I think you all have 10 fingers. One of them in the middle I don't respond to, but any of the others, wiggle up, I call a polite finger. There you go. Lee's laughing. Wiggle a polite finger and I will call you. Or I might just say, hey, Lee, anything you want to say back. It's not a quiz, but sometimes we just find that there are so much synchronicities in terms of our creativity and our feelings about things, or it's just, wow, I want to try that. So let's talk like that. So Jason, I'm going to read this statement, and it's statement number 3 you send me, and I'll read it. And this is interesting. You say, in the morning, I like to journal or head out to the nearby forest and allow the creativity all around me to enter into who I am. Sometimes I just sit quietly and enjoy the deep creativity of nature. It helps me to recognize my connection to divine creativity. Let's talk about this sitting quietly in the forest. What does this do for you? What comes to you? Talk to me a little more about that, Jason.
Well, I love the forest, and when you go out there, you get this sense of peace and clarity that often comes, and kind of like what Lee was talking about, this idea of energy and consciousness. You could also, I'll just add one thing to Lee's thing, and I could say creativity. And if you look at, if you're out in wilderness, you will see massive creativity. The earth itself, all the different colors and all the different plants and little bugs. And I don't know if you've ever looked at a little tiny creature, bugs are beautiful. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They're intricately designed. And it looks like to me, and this is kind of just me saying this, but like a master artist is creating all things all the time. And so when you sit out in a natural area, you sense that master artist going through everything. It's beautiful everywhere. And you can also see that on the subatomic level. You can see it in the galaxies. And so creativity is all over. So for me, when I get somewhere that's really natural and pure like that, and not messed up with all the noise that we often hear, coming through the radio waves and things like that in our media, then we can just tap into that pure creative sense. And if we just open to it, it wants to flow in. And so for me, a lot of times what will happen is while I'm out there, a song will come to me. And I'll just start singing. I might be singing to the plants or the trees or, to the sky. And who knows, I might even do a dance, because I'm just going to let whatever it is want to flow through me come out. And that way I become open to what creativity wants to flow in.
Take a look at this visitor to my bird feeder. I have a video camera bird feeder, and he's
Oh,
there right
sweet.
now outside. And that's how I bring nature into my house, my office, Jason. I bought a bird feeder and it has a video camera, and it's also a security camera, and it has an AI component, and it identifies the birds. So I know the northern cardinals and the house finches and the goldfinches and the
Hmm.
bluebirds and the jays. And this is how I bring creativity into my, because I'm here in the house a lot, in the office a lot. So and I have by the way, I once started talking to trees, Jason. I would come home when I was growing up, Douglaston, New York, and I would come home from school. And sometimes I had so much on my mind, I'd walk on the side lawn of our house and I'd bump into a tree. There was a small tree in the middle of the lawn. And I'd turn around and say, I'm so sorry. I was about 13, 14 years old. I apologized to the tree. Lee, I know I'm not finding satellites, but I was apologizing to the tree. And I bought this house in Tennessee almost 2.5 years ago. I didn't know that the former owner, who passed away shortly after they sold the house, he was in a facility and his daughter sold the house. I didn't know that he grew up in a family, Diane, that owned a nursery. And I have the most incredible set of collection of species of plants. I have everything from a magnolia that's 30 feet tall in the middle of the yard, which you never put in the yard because the leaves are like frisbees and they'll kill you, they'll knock a window. And I have crepe myrtles, and I have gladiolas, and I have irises, and I have Japanese maples, and I have I have, you name it. I have azaleas, and I have hibiscus plants, and I have a Bradford pear, and I have Leland pines, and you name it. And they're all over 4 yards, front, back, side, side. And Jason, I feel like I'm living almost in an arboretum here. And
Yeah.
it's my job to take care of it. It's
Hmm.
I'm now the caretaker of this nature that
Oh,
is
that's
all, isn't that? So that's why I got the bird feeder so I can see and they come. I got squirrels now and we're trying to put up a new baffle tonight, but I won't hurt them, don't worry. But they eat all the food. It's terrible. Anyway, thank you. Does anybody have any comments for Jason besides me before we go to a statement from Diane? Lee, go ahead, please talk.
I uncovered another, all three of you talk to trees, I found out.
There is a song.
That's true.
Lee, you might remember, I talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. I try not to sing on the show. It ruins everything. Who sang that? It wasn't Nat King Cole. Who was it? I'll have to
Oh,
look
that's
it up.
from Hello Dolly. No, isn't it?
Is it? I talk to the trees. When Diane's
Mm.
doing her thing, I'll take a quick look and see if I can find.
Yeah.
I talk to the trees. Yes. Okay. I'm sure it's been in a lot of Broadway shows.
I think it's Michael Crawford. That's my guess.
Is it? I'm going to look. So let's go. Diane, your statement is creativity surprises people by helping them lower their affective filters and helps them enjoy the journey. When I taught linguistics, everyone was tense. Ugh. So I told them, we're going to take a sociolinguistic perspective in this course. Like, where do you, listen to this, Jason, Lee, you're going to love this. Where do you put your nose when you hug someone? Imagine how these students felt on the first day of class hugging perfect strangers. But the course was a blast because they had to learn to feel, to think, and to react. Diane, this is one of the most creative statements I've ever had from a guest in all my years doing this show. How did you come up with this? Talk. I'll look up the song while you're talking. Go ahead.
You should take one of my classes. No one misses my class because when you are nervous, from a brain perspective, your brain clamps up. So linguistics is hard, especially now that we don't really teach grammar. So when I saw everyone sitting in their chairs like little second graders and very tense, I had to get them to relax. So that's what I did. And when they relaxed, they were open. And when they're open, they become creative. And when they become creative, they start to become self-aware. And that class, as a matter of fact, I was called into the dean's office after I taught the class because the other two professors taught the same exact course, and my students got better grades. And you know what he thought?
What?
That I was fixing my grades. And I said, I'm a good teacher. We have fun. These kids enjoyed the class, and no, I refute this comment. Isn't that incredible? Everyone wants you in the norm, no matter where you're at. And when you go, just like you, when you go beyond the norm, look at how much fun you have. And people
Absolutely.
love you for it. So why not?
That would be nice. That's true. That's absolutely true. Just absolutely charming. Jason, anything you want to say to Diane about that? About the nose when you hug? I never thought about that.
I'm not sure exactly what to say, but I'm just loving listening to you, Diane. I love the fact that you recognize that fear shuts us down. You know, the anxiety makes it really hard. And I think you're so spot on about just helping people to relax so they can let the creativity flow through.
Yep. I have.
And Jason, I do talk to plants and animals all the time. Lee always laughs and he says, "Who are you talking to?" And I say, "Well, I was probably talking to the toaster because I just wanted to make sure he was doing everything correctly right now."
Diane, I talk to my stuffed animals every morning and
Oh,
every
see?
evening. I say, kids, I'm coming in. I'll put the light on. Don't worry. I'll close the blinds. Nobody's going to come in the back door. I do every day, and they're very, very sweet. I have to tell all of you, I found the song. It was from the 1969 musical Paint Your Wagon, and it was performed by Clint Eastwood as the part of Pardner, and it was written by Frederick Lowe and Alan J. Lerner and Lowe. I talk to the trees. I put this in the chat for Jason. I talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. I talk to the stars, but they never hear me. You can look it up. I Talk to the Trees by Clint Eastwood. There you go. What do you think?
Yep, I remember the movie now. It's
Cool.
a great little musical.
You're not
so.
old enough to remember that. Lee, anything you want to say about the hugging and the noses before we move on?
Oh, yes, I learned a lot from Diane. That's why I talk to the trees now also, and plants. we plant plants, grow herbs inside the apartment where we are, and I think it helps.
I think it does too. I think it does too. Absolutely. I take cuttings from plants. When I was in North Carolina, I went to a salon called Bella Trio, and outside the salon, it was not an indoor mall, but there was a walking esplanade, I'm calling it, in between the stores and the ones across. It was where you could just walk in between. Parking was on the outside, and they had beautiful coleus plants. We're talking 8 foot tall coleus plants by a professional landscaper in the middle of this area where people sat outside restaurants and had lunch. They were huge, thousands of blooms. So I bring a little baggie with scissors, and when nobody was looking, I'd go and cut off just a little stem. Who's going to miss it with a plant that's 6 to 8 feet tall? There's like 20 of them. So I'd take them home. I'd have a piece of paper towel with water on it, and I'd keep the stems moist because I lived a half hour, 45 minutes away. And then I'd come home and root them in water, and then I'd plant them. When I left a lot of those for my neighbors because they were too fragile, but I've been doing that here. My new salon here has smaller coleus plants. So with the permission of my hairdresser, when I'll go out, I'm going to pinch a little bit off. Is that okay? And she'll say, yes, I'll take it home and root it. And I'm growing a pot of beautiful coleus. So I talk to the plants. I talk to them every day, and I tell them how much I appreciate them. And by the way, great planters come from sometimes when you get candles in glass holders. When the candle's all gone, you scrape out the wax, heat it up, clean it, and you can put a little rocks or something in the bottom and make them into planters, and they're lovely. Also, secondhand stores that have pots and pans and dishes, funny dishes. People have an odd cereal dish or a glass of some kind. Buy them for 50 cents or $1. They make wonderful planters. That's my tip there. Okay, Lee Sweeney, I'm going to your statement now. We have 10 minutes left, and I've got a lot to do here, so let's do this. Lee says, creativity finds uniqueness in every aspect of life. Creativity is laughing at animal behavior and cloud structures. I live near the Rocky Mountains where Mother Nature plays with cloud formations. I enjoy telling stories about cloud shapes, cookie baking shapes, and anything else that captures my attention. My comments elicit laughter and awe from all those around me. You've got my awe now. Lee, take 2 minutes and tell us a little bit about the cloud stories about cloud formations. What do you see, and to whom do you tell these stories?
Well, Diane and I try to walk every day, so I always look at the sky, and it's not always something we're talking about. But the most recent one was actually taken at sunset, and I took a picture. It's on my website if you looked on Facebook. But the highest part of the sky, it looks like coming from the right to the left, was a huge serpent with its head tipped down, and in the foreground was a tree. And I said, it looks like he's about to bite the top of the tree. And so that's posted there. And I don't know if it's funny to some people, but I just thought it was very interesting. And there it was. So if you look at my
Very much
website, I
is.
have lots of photographs that have sunsets. And about a month ago, I would wake up at 3 in the morning and look at the sky, and I see all these things, and it was so bright and nice. I would take with my i15 Pro a picture of the sky. And then I found a website that says where are you and where do you want to look at, and you can find out what was really in the sky at that time. So I found that one of the brightest things was the planet Jupiter and other stars and so forth. So again, I just observe these things and not trying to make anything out of it. I just find it beautiful looking at the sky when it's clear. So uh, other things are just sometimes I see something that's funny. I don't know if any of the people do, but I try to point it out to Diane. She's usually with me when we're walking outside.
That's
And
lovely.
when he makes cookies, he doesn't just make cookies. He makes
He-
shapes, and they all have to have unique shapes to them.
I
He even
love
arranges
this.
his food on the plate with pattern.
I wish I lived near you. Jason, any comment about cloud shapes and cookies quickly?
Well, yeah. So clouds and humans have something very important in common with creativity. So thank you, Lee, for bringing that in. But the neuroscientist, Dr. Dan Siegel, talks about what these qualities are, and I just wanted to share that with you. Essentially, what it is clouds are taking in energy and information, and they're creating it into something new. It's emerging into something new. So it has an emergent quality, which is exactly what humans do. We take in energy and information, it then becomes part of us, and then we create something new out of it. So we're always in an emergent process. So this conversation that we have right now, will change all of us and everyone who is listening. And you will all take these different comments we've had, bring them together, make sense of them, and will emerge as different beings, slightly different because we've had this conversation. So I just
Yeah.
think that's pretty interesting.
Thank you. That was lovely. That was lovely. Lee, thank you for that. I have 7 minutes, 6 minutes left. I want to cover a couple of other things, but I want to thank you all for your statements. Very, very interesting. You're obviously all very invested in your own creativity and in sharing it with others. And that's why I do this show, to share those ideas with the world, whoever is in the world who wants to take it. So today is April 28th. I have some events in music history that reek of creativity. I have about 20, but too many to read, and I've highlighted about 6 of them I want to read to you. Today, in 1940, Glenn Miller recorded Pennsylvania 65000. If anybody remembers the song, Pennsylvania 6. He took the title from the hotel, Pennsylvania Hotel, Dianne, and Jason, which was where the publicity summit used to be held in Manhattan before it went virtual after COVID. And I was 26 minutes away on the Port Washington branch of the Long Island Railroad. I go right to Penn Station across the street. We go up to the 18th floor, the top ballroom, and we had a stage with 4 levels for all of the me and the radio people and the TV people. And then we marched into the next door ballroom, and we each had a table with a monitor with a stopwatch standing there physically in front of us. And I usually had 80 to 100 people had signed up to meet me. I was the last person in the room after 2.5 hours, and I booked usually 50 to 60 people in one 3-hour session. They had to give me a chair to put my feet on because it was, and I had red shoes always. It was quite something. Anyway, so that wasn't 1940 though. In 1963, there was a 19-year-old named Andrew Loog Oldham, and he did PR for the Beatles. But one day he happened to see a new band called the Rolling Stones in Richmond, England. He became their manager. And you know what he told them to do? Get rid of the apostrophe at the end of Rolling and make it a G. It's Rolling Stones. This 19-year-old kid was responsible for the name. In this day, in 1958, David Seville's I Know the Witch Doctor, it hit #1. But the reason I'm telling you, his first time using sped up vocals to create the squeaky sound that later became the Chipmunks. Remember Alvin the Chipmunk? That's when David Seville started doing that. Let's go fast forward to 1987. Ray Charles told Congress they should fund hearing research. He said, "My eyes are my handicap, but my ears are my opportunity." Beautiful line. On this day in 2003, Apple launched the iTunes Store, the first widely successful legal music download app thanks to the iPod. Everybody walked around with their music. It was first available only to Mac users because it was encrypted with Apple's proprietary format, and then to everybody else. In this day in 2017, Brad Paisley, the country star, released the first visual album in country music, a special edition of Love and War with videos for each of the 16 tracks. That made history. Today is the birthday of Anne Margaret. Everybody remember her, the fireball from Sweden? She was in Bye Bye Birdie with Dick Van Dyke and Viva Las Vegas with Elvis, and I think she and Elvis got together a little after that. She married Roger Smith in 1967. Jay Leno, happy birthday, Mr. Tonight Show. Okay. And he had a degree in speech therapy, Dianne, and he started his own comedy club before he got famous. There you go. Bridget Moynihan is 54 today. She acted in Everything Coyote Ugly, iRobot, but we all know her as Erin Reagan Boyle, the DA, assistant DA in Blue Bloods. Jessica Alba, the movie actress, is 44. Mary McDonnell, who was in Dances with Wolves, and she is Captain Sharon Raydor, Raydor, in Major Crimes. I enjoyed her. Penelope Cruz, we all know who she is, okay. Vicky Cristina Barcelona, who did she date? Tom Cruise. She dated Matthew McConaughey, and she eventually married Javier Bardem. And the Scott brothers, Jonathan and Drew, are 47 today. They're the HDTV Property Brothers, okay? There you go. Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird, was born today. She lived to 89 years old in 2016. And Ferruccio Lamborghini was born today in 1916. We all know him. Did you know, Lee, that he was captured by the British in World War II and put to work in the motor department? And he used his knowledge to make tractors for farmers in Italy after the war. And then he had a problem with a clutch on his Ferrari. He complained to Enzo, who pushed aside the complaints, and they eventually spurred Lamborghini to create his own car company. There you go. And we have a quick shout out to Robert J. Perez. He's 35 years old. He has 5 million subscribers, Jason, on YouTube. His popular video was How to Get Zombie Teachers. Yandere Simulator Myths. I don't know what that means. It had 8.5 million views. On TikTok, we have a lady named Witchell Simon. She's 23. She has 22 million likes and 460,000 followers. Dianne, she does women's beauty and hair videos and comedy stories. And on TikTok, we have Samara Bolter. She's 18. Poor girl. She only has 2.5 million followers. She's called the Pink Diva Mermaid Queen. And she posts pictures of herself getting ready to go out and putting on her makeup. And she uses flirty songs and she lip syncs. Jason, are we incredibly? I think I'm in the wrong line of work. Trying to get my first 200 on YouTube. We have to go. So what I'd like to do is ask the three of you to stick around because I'd like to talk to you after the show. And we're just about ready for me to do the closing. I have the music ready, but I have some lines I want you to enjoy with me, and a shout out to Jordan Hansen, my engineer today. Oh, by the way, today is Clean Comedy Day, Global Pay It Forward Day, Great Poetry Reading Day. I belong to a poetry group. Kiss Your Mate Day. Lee and Dianne, not on the show, please. National Blueberry Pie Day and National Auctioneers Day. It's the month of Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cranberries, gooseberries, Florida tomatoes, garlic, pecans, soft pretzels, tomatillos, and it's Adopt a Greyhound and a Ferret Day. We'll leave it at that. In 2014, Dianne, I ended my show with the top 10 tips for women, and this was number 1. Aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. There you go. And here my closing. Don't go away, everybody. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. No. Kiss slowly. Yes. Love truly. Everybody laugh with me. Laugh uncontrollably. 1, 2, 3. Lee, don't hurt yourself. And never, ever regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in high heels in a cafeteria in a high school in Eugene, Oregon, in front of 250 people, everybody watched. No, I never fell. Sing like nobody's listening. Sorry, I had to sing. Love like you've never been hurt. Jason, we've all been hurt. We're going to heal that. We're going to regrow our heart. We're going to learn to love again. Right, Dianne? Right, Lee? Let it happen. Money talks. Chocolate sings. La! And last but not least, I stole this line from a host many years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Let me play the closing music. I didn't want to go too loud. I'm going to put the music on now. We're going to dance, and then we'll stick around. Here we go.
On Read My Lips Radio, producer and host, aka Radio Red, invites you to eavesdrop on her live, unscripted conversations with smart, savvy, creative people as she discovers what makes them tick, where they find their inspiration, when creativity first became their passion, and how their creative process can inspire the rest of us to think out of the box. Enjoy aka Radio Red's always lively, cool conversations with creatives. Oh, how those lips can talk.
There we go. Say goodbye
On Read
to
My
our
Lips
streaming.
Radio,
Okay,
producer and
that's
host.
enough. That's enough. Let me go to close out to our